So I'd like to welcome everybody to our first MTPD of the season. We're very excited to have Dr. Paige Evens here. So Dr. Paige Evens is a staple with UTeach. She is the co-director, clinical professor, and master teacher for the Teach Houston program at the University of Houston, where she teaches and oversees courses in pre-service STEM teacher education. Prior to joining the University of Houston faculty in 2008, she spent 18 years as a math and science educator and served in various leadership positions. Dr. Evens has secured $14 million in grant funding and is the PI and co-PI on several federal grants with the goal to broaden STEM participation and improve STEM literacy for all. She frequently publishes and presents on her research interests that include STEM teacher preparation, STEM education, and culturally responsive pedagogy. Moreover, she recently co-authored the book, Preparing Teachers to Teach the STEM Disciplines in America's Urban Schools. Dr. Evens served as the president of the UTeach STEM Educator Association and was an American Physical Society Physics Teacher Education Coalition Fellow. She is the recipient of 4 University of Houston Teaching Excellence Awards, including the 2002 University of Houston Distinguished Leadership in Teaching Excellence Award. Additionally, she was honored with the American Educational Research Association Narrative Inquiry Outstanding Publication Award, the American Physical Society for Improving Undergraduate Physics Education Award, and the University of Houston 50 in 5 Faculty Award and STEM for All Video Showcase Award in both 2001 and 2002. And if that wasn't enough, she is also the 2022 UTeach Outstanding Master Teacher. So I can think of no one better to start the year off with our Master Teacher Professional Development Series than Dr. Paige Evens. And so whenever you are ready, please take it away.
Wow, thank you for that great introduction. That was really nice. I am thrilled to kick off this event. So I'm going to share my screen. Thank you everyone for taking time out of the beginning of your school year and time out of your Friday to attend this presentation. Thank you everyone. And so basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over our alternative certification program that we created at the University of Houston. This is a part of a Department of Education grant. So it's a 2-semester pathway, and we developed this for career changers and seniors that have 1 or 2 courses remaining. And so maybe this might work for your campuses as well. I'll show you some results and how this has increased our numbers drastically. Okay, so I'm not the only one that created this, and so I would like to give credit to our team. Jessica Sublock, he's a co-PI on the grant. Leah McAllister Shields, also a co-PI. Jacqueline Ikova, she's a master teacher, and she helped develop this. Same with Ramona Matier, Laura Harlow, and Amanda Campos. So they're all master teachers at the University of Houston, and we got together a few years ago and created this. So here's an overview of our presentation. First of all, I'll give a brief background of myself so you know a little bit more about me. And then we're going to discuss how it started, the need for accelerated pathways. And after that, we're going to highlight our results and plan for the future, and we'll have time at the end for Q&A. So a little bit about my story. And so you can see, I want to show you a little bit of my background so you can see why education is so important to me, and getting more STEM educators out there is very important to me, as it is for all of us, because we are in this profession. So to give a brief background, my grandfather dropped out of school at 13 to work in the coal mines to support his family. He came to the US from Ireland for a greater opportunity. And he always instilled in us a hard work ethic and the importance of doing your best work on anything big or small. And so fast forward to my dad, he was the very first in his family to graduate from high school. And so you can see that high school there. I also attended that high school, and I actually had the same English teacher as him, which was kind of strange. My mom instilled a lifelong love of reading and learning. And while at this high school, my favorite teacher was a math teacher. And I think that's what got me started in math and science. And then fast forward to my sisters and I, we are first generation college graduates, all of us. My oldest sister is the state treasurer for the state of Pennsylvania. My second is personal trainer, military wife. I'm third. And then my youngest sister, which I still call baby sister, which is kind of weird because she's 50. But anyway, for those that have younger sisters, you always think of them as babies. She is a special education teacher at the school I used to teach at. We used to carpool together. It was lots of fun. After high school, I attended Penn State. I studied biology and secondary education. I learned about inquiry-based learning. The Penn State program at the time was very similar to what the UTeach program is now, with early and intensive field experiences. And it was at that time, believe it or not, I had amazing master teachers like all of you. And that's where I thought, I want to do this someday way into the future and have a bigger impact, which has led to my role at University of Houston today. I was able to teach an outdoor biology course and made the course relevant to the community. And then after that, I headed out to Japan to teach English. I had never been out of the country except for Canada. I taught all levels of English, and this experience taught me the importance of culture. I learned the language the best that I could and participated on a baseball team. That's the second picture there. Went to many excursions, many festivals. I even had not necessarily a kimono, but the light version of a kimono. Many of the females were not able to go out by themselves. However, they could go out with me. So we were very social. Now, this is a long time ago. That's why most of our learning happened in restaurants. And although females at that time got degrees, they're very smart, impressive, they were only able to get positions as office ladies. Things have changed since then. So after Japan, I headed to Korea to teach 5th and 6th grade math and science. I lived in Tongducheon, which is about 14 miles from the DMZ. It was not uncommon to see howitzers and tanks going down the main street, or to have armed guards come into your bus and check your IDs. Very strange, because that after a couple months was just normal. It was my new normal. They check your IDs when you travel north of Seoul typically, and I was about 14 miles from the DMZ. So here I was able to do a lot of project-based learning, taught 5th and 6th grade. And one thing we did is they picked their own country, came up with a budget, studied ecology, sports, food, money system, and many other things. So I was able to do a lot of project-based learning, which is really cool. After that, Soledad, California, Central California, I taught middle school math and science. This community is 96% Hispanic, had a large migrant worker population, and also had Soledad State Prison, which was home to the Nuestra Familia, which is the Northern gang. There was also a gang influence from the Sereno 13 gang from the South. Here I was able to attend UC Santa Cruz and learn how to teach math with manipulatives. It was an amazing experience. I also took some other courses at Monterey Peninsula College, which is now a university, and San Jose State University to pick up my math certification in California. In this community, most dropped out of school after 8th grade to work in the migrant farms. So this resonated with the experience of my grandfather. One of my goals was to have more students attend high school. So I did this through parent conferences, where my goal was to meet with 100% of the parents. This meant that I traveled to the migrant worker homes, which were unbelievable that homes like that existed, where they would have 10 people living in one bedroom place and dirt floors. I learned the importance of community. I learned the language. I'm not good at it anymore because I've lived in Texas for a long time, which you would think would give me the opportunity to continue. But anyway, I embraced the culture. I could do their traditional dances, and this connection in the community went a long way with my students, and they did well. And this is where I got my first grant to put on a science fair. My students learned that science can be fun and that they are actually good at science. And then found my home in Texas. Okay, this is where I taught math and science, mostly physics, because I dropped the math certification because I knew if I had it, No offense to the math folks out there, but I just like physics better. And so I dropped the math certification so that I could teach physics. So I took over AP Physics. There were only 2 AP Physics students that were female and 20 altogether. The following year, there were 63 with 40% females. And I like to tell this story to my students because this shows that even one person in a school can make a difference. So here I did a lot of professional development. Also got a grant to fund a national robotics team, which is still in the school today, with high female participation. And so during this time, I got my Master of Arts in Physics Education with the UTeach program, with an emphasis on inquiry-based learning, multiculturalism, project-based learning, and alternative assessment. So thank you, UTeach. Once again, you've been really integral in everything that I do that leads to today. And so now I'm at U of H and started as a master teacher in 2008 and was recruited to help develop the STEM teacher preparation program. And I got my EDD once I came on to University of Houston in 2011. And we replicated before replication was formal. And so I was able to develop all the field-based courses with help from amazing master teachers at UTeach. So thank you, UTeach, once again. And so I was named associate director in 2019, although I was acting as it way before then, and co-director last year. And so our replication sites, we all have the same goal. And so we want ultimately more students completing STEM degrees, which starts with the great teachers that we prepare. And so we have lots of certifications, as you do. So our traditional program is very similar to your traditional program. What I would like to talk about today is our ACP for STEM at UH. We developed this in 2019. It's either for career changers or nearing graduation. And so you can still do this pathway if you have maybe a couple of courses left in the fall and a couple of courses left in the spring. And so that's what I'm going to take a deep dive in today. At our campus, it's for teacher certification only. But other programs that I've heard of, they add some more courses and get a master's degree along with that. In fact, that would be a great way to do a NOIS Track 2 grant, which I do have a lot of NOIS grants and have had in the past, and that's hopefully a PD session I can put on in the future for anyone interested in getting a NOIS grant for your school. I know you can do it, and several of you already have. Okay, so here's a snapshot of our traditional program. So instead of step 1 and step 2, we combined those to a 3-credit course called Introduction to STEM Teaching. And then we have our classroom interactions. Our PBI is multiple teaching strategies. We still do project-based instruction in it. Okay, so it's very similar. We just named it something else and also go over other teaching strategies as they do in the PBI class. Then we do the student teaching. Our non-field-based courses, of course, are knowing and learning and research methods. So you'll see that we don't have perspectives on there. That is for a couple of reasons. Perspectives is a wonderful course, but 1, we didn't have anyone to teach it. And 2, with 3 more credits, they were almost to the point where they could get a double major. And so it makes us more competitive as a capstone or minor in our college with 3 less credits. So that's a little bit strategic on our part, but also we really didn't have an instructor. And like many of you, we're stretched, right? We're doing everything because master teachers, as Elizabeth said, we're the heart and soul. We're the heart and the soul of the UTeach programs. So we have some electives. We have physics by inquiry. That's a physics course. It counts for physics majors and minors. I teach that course. We have a classroom management course that is culturally responsive, which is new. And we have English as a second language acquisition. So our student teaching is only 6 credits. So sometimes they need 2 more courses. And so they can take those courses there. I teach the student teaching course. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay, so teachHOUSTON was working. Okay, still is working, but mostly biology, biochemistry, and mathematics. Not many chemistry, physics, computer science. We have limited faculty. We have 7 master teachers and 1 advisor / faculty member. So there's 8 of us now. That might be a lot, but the thing is, we teach all the courses. We don't have faculty teach the courses. We teach the courses. And we had non-traditional students. They didn't have 4 years or 3 years or however many years to fit all this stuff into their schedule, because we have a lot of transfer students. So because we have a lot of transfer students, that's where I did the first step, was combined step 1 and step 2, because that made it doable for a transfer student to finish in 4 semesters. And then after that, we made a 3-semester pathway. And then after that, we made the 2-semester pathway. Okay. So what we did is we strengthened our partnerships, our partnership with physics, and actually built a partnership with computer science. And then we now have a partnership with a College of Technology, which soon at U of H is going to merge with a College of Engineering. So maybe we'll get an inroad there. We sent advertisement emails to physics, computer science majors, and we can perform class visits in all courses. And it used to be targeted more towards freshmen or like transfer, but now we visit senior courses and send targeted emails to them because we want them in this career changers pathway. So, and then of course we attend orientation for all NSM majors, which is where we can give an additional layer of information, right? Because when they first come to U of H as transfers, maybe have 2 years left or 2.5, they might not be interested, but if they can hear about it, maybe they'll be interested in the future. So this is a lot of words, but all this here, not really necessary to read. You can see we have a 5-semester, 4-semester, and a 3-semester. So we really don't have many freshmen in the program. One thing, and that's controversial too, because we want everybody to be able to take the tryout course. But the truth is, we were putting all of our resources into that course. And then from that course, we weren't getting a lot of returns. And so, you know, although there's a lot of pros and cons of this, for us to be efficient and to be sustainable and to be able to grow our program, we needed to put resources into the other courses as well, because we had everyone teaching these first courses and then not many people teaching the other courses. And so really, they don't really start our program, mostly start as sophomores, juniors, and seniors. You know, those are 3-semester pathway, 4-semester pathway, 5-semester pathway. And so that's on our website too, if you ever want to look at it. So we did all this, okay. But the reality is, we were still the flat 40 teachers a year. We did all this stuff. I will tell you that by doing the intro to STEM, and we have a strongly suggested thing before you enroll that you have an A or a B in Cal 1, because I did a lot of data on this. Our whole program did. And those that were successful and stayed in the program had an A or B in Cal 1. Okay, and we have all kinds of data to back that up. So although it's not a requirement, it's a strong suggestion, because sometimes you have maybe a biology major that we've had biology majors with a high GPA, but maybe got a C in Cal 1, right? Well, they can do our program. So, and then the other thing that happened is students were just joining later in their careers. They come in as freshmen. It takes them a while to warm up to being a teacher. And so we had to make the program work for where they were. okay? Not where our original program was. So we pivoted to meet the needs of our students. So, and then the other thing we thought, well, Teach for America can do it, Texas Teachers of Tomorrow and local districts, alternative certification programs can do it. Why can't we do it? Why can't Teach Houston do it? And why can't we do it better? Okay, and of course, I think we do it better. So, here's a snapshot of our expedited pathway. As I mentioned, it's a 2-semester pathway. It's in a cohort. It's a cohort model. So they go through it all together, which has so many benefits. And so they take the Teach Houston coursework, UTeach coursework. It is the UTeach model, but just priced down. Okay, so we cover all the essential objectives and we integrate culturally responsive pedagogy. Now we integrate this in our traditional program as well, but it's actually more integrated in this. It's easier because we have 3 instructors teaching in this program and they meet frequently about this. So basically what they have 1 continuous course on Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 1. Okay. And Knowing and Learning is hybrid on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 2:30. So they get field experiences, 60 hours in the first semester, and they get scholarships in the amount of 10 to 20,000. There's some people that don't accept the scholarship because they don't need it. And the way we have the same courses on the book. So we have Intro to STEM Teaching. We have classroom interactions. We have MTS, which is really PDI. So they're on the books as separate, but the way we configured it, we can teach it from 10 to 1 because we have one that's asynchronous, one that's a hybrid, and one that is a 3-hour class. And so it all works out. And you might say, well, that's not much time, but let me talk a little bit more about it. So as I said, we took the undergraduate course and I didn't do this part. Jacqueline Ecoba and Ramona Matier did this, and they took all the objectives and they tore it apart, and they had, Jackie describes it, they had sticky notes everywhere. Okay, and then they found what was redundant and they could get rid of those things. And so then they built it back together to make sure that it had all of the UTeach elements that are in the program. And so that's what they did. It's been really successful. Now, bear in mind that since they're seniors with maybe 1 or 2 classes or career changers with no coursework, they don't have to worry about genetics lab. They don't have to worry about their STEM coursework. Okay, so that's in our favor as well. And because it is condensed, the other thing that's in our favor is we don't have to repeat a lot of things. So you don't have to do that repetition. So the semester 2, classroom management, student teaching, and student teaching seminar, we found that they really didn't need research methods as much as they needed classroom management. So that was another decision we did. We created a culturally responsive classroom management course because we found that our classroom management was not mirroring the inquiry-based and culturally responsive curriculum. So you would teach one way, but you would manage in another way. That's a disconnect. That didn't work so well. And so this course is, I'm so proud of this course, and Ramona Matier that created this course. It's been very successful. So the field placements with any district in Greater Houston, they do 60 hours the first semester on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Semester 2, they're all put together and they're all in my class. Okay, they all do student teaching together. So now we have a new thing, which is called the Vetted Teacher Residency Program option. And that's where they get an additional $10,000 per semester. And the way that works, and if you're in Texas, you should definitely do this. So, and I can talk more to those that want more information on that later, because I realize we have people from many states. But basically, they have this thing in the state of Texas where instead of student teaching for one semester, you can spread it out throughout the whole year and have an average of 3 days per week in fall and spring. And so this works really well with our ACP program because they're there Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the field. In fact, in this cohort, all of them are doing this except for one. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, they do our coursework. They get paid an additional $10,000 from the district. And then semester 2, even though it's an average of 3 days, they go full-time student teaching in the spring. Now, for our undergraduates, this works well with those that have, in their senior year, they can put all their courses on Tuesday and Thursday. So this is our first experiment. I'm doing one of those things where I'm building the program as the program's happening. So wish me luck on that. But so far we have 7 undergraduates in that, and it's going real well. So the knowing and learning, Dr. Shields teaches that, and it's very similar to your knowing and learning probably, but it has more, well, I don't know, because I don't know what your courses are like, but heavy emphasis on culturally responsive pedagogy. And it's hybrid course. It meets every other week. And on the weeks where they don't meet in person, they have some synchronous things they do in discussions and chat board. It's worked really well. So the classroom management, that meets 3 hours a week. One is synchronous and the other 1.5 hours is right before student teaching, and that one is in person. And we do that so they only have to come to class once a week during student teaching. And so she does a lot with exploring brain development and the role in student behaviors. And she does a lot with CRP and the community. And one big thing that they need to do is they identify personal classroom management philosophies and come up with their plan. That this class is new, but it's been very successful. So this is why it works, okay? We thought deeply on how to integrate the coursework in such a way that is aligned and effective, while also providing a deeper dive into topics as various forms of inquiry, classroom management, and CRP. So as I stated earlier, we have less redundancy in coursework. The students are more focused to seniors and post-backs, okay? We know the difference between a sophomore and a senior. They have little to no distractions from STEM coursework, and the cohort model is powerful. It builds a stronger sense of community. And we also have a big induction program. I recently got a grant for that. And so our induction program is amazing, I have to say. And I got somebody to coordinate that. So I'm going to go over the results and then I'll open it up for questions. So far we have 54 completers. Most are post-bac. You can see 78%, 22% undergraduate. Those are your seniors with just a couple of courses left. Our gender is pretty even for gender diversity. And then our diversity is, you can see there, 41% Asian, 26% Hispanic or Latinx, 20% white, 13% African-American or Black. And that's slightly more diverse than U of H. So the majors, we have a doctor of pharmacy, we have some technology majors, we have physical therapists, business majors that had a lot of course credits in math. We had 5 master degree holders and some engineers, a lot of biochem, as in our traditional pathway, and math. But we have increased some of those other areas such as computer science, physics, engineering, and other. So from our graduates, our ISD partners, well, first of all, from our graduates, they're doing well. And as with all of our graduates, a lot of them are shocked when they find out that they're first year teachers. And I was hopeful this would be the same with our ACP program, and it is. And so from our partners, Pasadena, I've never seen a better prepared first year teacher. So they're not talking about the traditional, they're talking about the ACP, and they can't tell the difference between them. And then from one student, this program is what convinced me to leave IT and become a teacher because of its emphasis on pedagogy and inquiry. I've not looked back. And so they're teaching. Here is, let's see what happens. I hit
The
this.
thing that made me become a teacher was first being in the medical field for the better part of 10 years. I don't want to age myself. In the medical field, you kind of bounce around from hospital to hospital, so you kind of see what you like and what you don't like. Where I found that the different hospitals I went to, I kind of gravitated toward the educational aspects. Teaching doctors the new modalities, or teaching new therapists, or teaching new equipment, and I found that I kind of liked that a little better. And then this came, no brainer. Coming from a different industry, any different industry, it's kind of a hard concept to really grasp. Like, this is inquiry, this is 5E, this is this. So you lay that foundation first, that groundwork. And I think once we grasp that, then now that we're in front of the kid's face, now it's like, okay, this is classroom management part. That was instrumental because we had a whole semester of really understanding this is how you teach, and this is why you teach, and this is the theories how kids learn, and now you're in front of these kids, and you're not just looking at them as some random kids you need to give information to. Now you're my next doctor, you're my next lawyer, you're my next politician. You're teaching these humans that just haven't really developed yet, you know, so. Things that
Okay, so that was Latanya. She's amazing. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So how it started, one pathway. There's our first graduate way back in the day in 2009. And now we have two pathways. Now we've had an average, so we were pretty steady at 40. And now for the past year, 62 per year for the past 2 years. So huge increase for physics finishers, for computer science finishers, and we have technology finishers. There's our first cohort down there in the bottom. Still keep in touch with them, and they come back for our induction events. And then there's our little graphic right there. Took a little dip. And mainly the dip actually was mostly from our traditional program. I think definitely COVID related. But that dip is going to go back up this year. We'll be back into the 60s. But even so, it's still improved. So that's good. And so altogether, we have 475 graduates. Most of them teach in high need schools and in Houston. And so out of our 54 completers, all but one are teaching. And so we're very proud of that. This is the diversity of our program altogether. Compared to Texas and the US, we of course are in UH, and you can see that. So the lessons that we learned fall semester, to begin a new cohort each semester. Spring cohort is difficult. We're going to do the spring cohort one more time because we have grant funding to support that. And then after that, we're going to do fall spring cohort. Okay, so this fall, we have 20 that get our scholarship funding plus the vetted teacher residency. And so we knew that we needed a little more time to keep this going and get sustainable by creating partnerships with districts. I'm working on that this fall, that I'm hoping that we can, for secondary math and science, get a larger amount than 10,000 for secondary math and science because it's high need. Of course, they always tell me they wish we did special ed too, but we don't. We did get a new grant from National Science Foundation that will keep this going for a little while till we have it all figured out. And that will help us transition to a self-paying model because we'll also have the vetted teacher residency. lessons learned, mostly career changers. They do want to do this, but they need funds to do it. But don't let that be a barrier. Okay. Because there could be things you could do, like offer this cohort in the evening, but then you still have the field placements. You could definitely get NSF funds to do this, to support the scholarship portion of this. Okay. And also some faculty support for this. I'm pretty sure you could do that because I just got one. And as I said earlier, I would be happy to put on a presentation on how to do that, because I feel like every UTeach program should have one if they don't already. And even if you have a Noise Track 1 grant, you can get one for career changers, even if you already have one. That's what I did, because I said, hey, I have this full population I need to support. And they said, yeah, even though you have a Noise Track 1 grant, actually I have 3 right now. As long as it's for a different population, you can do this. So money is not a barrier. Okay. So that's the challenge. How can they manage and afford the program? They need financial assistance. So that's why we delved into this paid internship while completing the program. But that may not be across the nation. That might just be a Texas thing. So cohort 1, 94% returning to the classroom. Cohort 2, 100%. Cohort 3, 85% hired for the first year. Cohort 4, 100% hired for the first year. Now everyone has a job except for one person. Cohort 5, 90% also have the vetted teacher residency. So as I said, they receive approximately $20,000 for the school year. The other thing that's really cool about that, most of them promise jobs. So they go into this already knowing they have a job at the end. And they stay in this placement, and the phase-in schedule is just expanded. And that's about it. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Absolutely.
Okay, so how did you get mentor teachers to do the 3 days a week versus student teaching? Was that easy to do, or was that difficult in the districts?
No, it was kind of easy because they're familiar with it. The reason they're familiar with it is because our College of Education program, they've been doing year-long student teaching for a while, where it is 3 days. And
Okay.
so when I came to them with this, they were familiar with it.
Okay.
And so now, how is that all going to look? I think there's pros and cons to both, Leanne.
Okay.
Doing one semester or 3 days. For our undergraduates, it's going to probably be 3 days in the fall, 3 days in the spring, but they go the entire school year. Okay. They start when the teachers start. Now, for our ACP, it's 3 days in the fall, 5 days in the spring. So they get the regular student teaching.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. And I don't know the Texas situation now, but one big barrier that I seem to encounter in Florida are the certification tests.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's already a source of loss for our current program. So is that a factor, or how is, because I noticed you also mentioned something about sort of Calc 1, which is not terribly surprising as a sort of indicator of continuation for a lot of reasons, since it's kind of one of those secret barrier courses. But I don't know, is testing an issue with Texas, or does the Calc 1 kind of also give an indicator of likelihood of success on those?
Well, what we found with the data of anyone that's ever entered our program, because before, when we did the step 1 model, 20% would be completers, right? So we have huge numbers, and we found that Cal 1 statistic. We said, okay, what do the completers have in common? And that's what it was. A and B on Cal 1. It's not true for everybody, and we don't want to be a barrier. Like I said, we're not going to say no. If they really want to do it, I'll look at their transcript and, talk to them about it. But the main thing is those that weren't finishing were washing out of the college, right? And so as far as testing is concerned, yes, that is an issue, and it became more of an issue during COVID because the state did this thing where they didn't have to pass the test, right? And then they gave them an extra year to pass it. And then what happened is our type policy of you must pass your exams before student teaching, that kind of went away a little bit. So we have had some issues with testing. But having said all that, they do end up passing the test, 100% of them, because they have to, otherwise they can't teach. The power of this network right here is I learned from Elizabeth what she was doing. She was doing the certified teacher. And so that led to us doing that. And I know that's for a Texas thing, but we have to do a lot of preparation. We don't prepare them so much for content. We have to take 2 tests here, one for content, one for pedagogy. We prepare them in the class for the pedagogy one. The content, we don't, but we do have a program where they can take practice tests and study. But I did find out with cohort 2, we have this test called composite science. It's for all the sciences. Many of them were not good in the physics part. Well, luckily, physics is my area. And so I did some tutorials right before student teaching every day. Not every day, like weekly, not every week, because sometimes things popped up. But we were able to get them through that, and lessons learned from that is we need to do a little bit more of that. Oh, there's a question in the chat. It said, what is the challenge with the spring fall cohort? Okay, one challenge is they can't get that additional funding from the district. They can from one district. One district, they want our teachers every semester. So they'll pay our student teachers $10,000, even if they're doing the semester-long student teaching. Okay, but that's just one district, Spring Branch, and not everybody lives near Spring Branch, although it's centrally located. The other challenge is we have challenges with recruitment for some reason. And we just always get more for the fall, spring than the spring, fall. And so it all has to do then with resources, right? Because you have a set number of master teachers. And if the cohort is really small, we have this balance of we have to serve the traditional program and the ACP program equally as well. And so that's also a barrier on me because, okay, are we going to put all these resources to so many students? But on the other hand, you have to realize those 20 students, 14 students, whatever it is, they're certified in 9 months. Okay. And it is really intensive. So it is okay to allocate more resources towards them because in the others, they may take 3 years to get certified, right? And so if you take that and, do the math, you do have to put some more resources to this ACP route because it is so intensive. But anyway, that's the main barrier, recruitment. We had a meeting about it the other day, yesterday, I think. How can we do this better? Why are we always more successful for the fall? Maybe because you have that summer in there. But we'll see what happens with this spring because we're going for it. We're going to see what happens.
I was just curious about the classroom management course, the culturally responsive classroom management course. It sounds really interesting. I'd love to talk more about it. I don't know if there's time and place for that today.
So I need to connect you with Ramona Mateer. Oh, here's her. Let me see if I can. Let me pull her email and she won't mind. I'm going to just put it in the chat. And she does a culturally responsive classroom management course. She would probably talk about it all day. She does. She loves it. It's her passion. And she came to me And, the way she put it, she said, we're not teaching our instruction doesn't mirror our classroom management. And when she said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's such common sense, but I didn't even think of it. And so she said, I'd like to teach this course. And so I said, good, do it, create it, create it, and we'll make it part of the program. Yeah, I think that would be another master teacher. Oh, and she would do it, Elizabeth. She would do it. And I don't want to speak for her, but the truth was our career changers were most worried about classroom management, and the student teachers as well. Okay, we cover it in seminar, we cover it in post conferences, we cover it while they're teaching, the coaching while they're teaching, but we weren't really teaching them how to manage an inquiry classroom. And we didn't really delve into the brain development, and she does an amazing job at that, explaining why they might interact in a certain way. But she does it better than me. That's her area. Thank goodness we have her. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much.
yeah, hit her up for a PD, Elizabeth.
Sorry, I don't want to dominate, but what's the role of the state recognizing all of this? Just in terms of, for us, the competition is that the school districts also do alternative certification or things like that, or because it sounds like you're getting a lot of people who are interested and normally would be turned away because of major requirements, but was state recognition of this a barrier?
Well, okay. Huge storm STEM teacher preparation shortage. We all know that, right? So we do need ACP programs. Okay. Now, in Houston alone, I know there's way more than this now, but back in the day, there were at least 26 just in our area. But it's big business, right? And the way it works is that teachers don't stay in teaching, right? Because they're not adequately prepared. And so that's how it can become a big business. We haven't solved this problem of STEM teacher shortage, which is now worse. And so the state's role in ACP in the state of Texas, anybody that gets certification after their degree is considered alternative certification. Okay. Now it's okay because there's less requirements. Okay. And so if it became too expensive, we could still teach it the same way, but not have as many courses on the books. Okay, that's one thing that's in the back of my mind. But then on the other hand, you got to have the university making money too. So there's probably some spot in the middle that would feel right. But the students that are drawn to our program, they're drawn to our program because of the field-based experience. And also the spotlight on equity, and how we want to reach our high need students. And so that's because we do a survey with that too. Why did you seek out our program? Well, because you get to learn to teach by actually teaching. You get to do it rather than just get thrown in. And that also is the beauty of UTeach, right? Because they get this practical experience, but the career changers wanted this too. Now for some, they don't want that. They want that you do 6 weeks of asynchronous work and bam, you're a teacher. Go have fun. But yeah, they really want the field experience. That's what they tell us.